Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody can hear me loud and clear as we speak from the United Kingdom. And so it's good morning from here, but very much good afternoon from most people, most of our audience, I think, who is based out in Southeast Asia. It gives me great pleasure this morning to introduce our webinar entitled Integrated Solutions for Precision Farming. We're very fortunate today to have three eminent speakers from the United Kingdom, who I will introduce as we go along. But first of all, it's my great pleasure to introduce Mr. Richard Porter, who is the Commercial Counsellor in the British Embassy in Bangkok, to make the opening remarks. Richard.
Well, a very good afternoon to you all, and welcome to the virtual Agri-Technica. Of course, we've had a very difficult year with COVID, but it's great to see that we are still having these kind of events and that we're able to connect across the Asia-Pacific region and across the world to talk about the all-important subject of agri-tech. From a UK government perspective, agri-tech is one of our real priority sectors. We have provided lots of assistance to British companies over the last couple of years, and we've seen some great success, not only commercially, but also in research and development collaborations as well. And we know that the safety and the security and the sustainability of our food chain and of our water supply is going to become increasingly difficult over the coming years, which is why it's so fantastic to have so many great minds in the agri-tech sector together today. Now, I just want to kick off by talking about 5 areas in which the UK is really excelling when it comes to agri-tech. First, on controlling the crop growth environment with new farming techniques in arid climates. So the UK has for many years now been pioneering vertical farming techniques such as aeroponics and hydroponics to manage water and nutrients. And we know that the global vertical farming market size is expected to reach around $13 billion by 2026. Second, we are helping to find sustainable sources of protein to feed animals and fish. So as you all know, farmed animals are fed protein like fish and soy meal, but forecasts are showing that there's going to be a big shortage, probably around 60 million tons by 2025. And for many years now, UK companies have been developing scalable production methods for insect protein, which is a great sustainable alternative with a market that's going to be worth around $9 billion over the next 10 years. Third, we are helping to fight crop pests and diseases with chemical-free pesticides. So we know that the new delivery of microbials can help defend crops against devastating pathogen infection. And companies in the UK are finding ways to apply the science of microbial to develop new biological and chemical-free pesticides. Fourth, we are gathering data to improve farm management and supply chains. So the agriculture value chain involves transactions with many stakeholders, such as farmers, sellers, and buyers. And the UK is developing software platforms that standardize data collection, provide transparency, and better decision-making in the supply chain. And finally, we're using a technology-based approach in farming to reduce the impact on the environment. Integration of innovation and technology is well established in the UK's farming sector, and farmers are already using robotics and artificial intelligence to reduce inputs and to maximize yields as well as profits. So that's a flavour of just some of the great stuff that the UK is doing in Agri-Tech. And we are very much excited about the prospects of this event, online event, and the ability for us to interact with each other, to participate in the panel sessions, and to find, not only strong commercial partnerships for the future, but other scientific partnerships focused on research and development that will lead to helping to build a really sustainable food chain for the future. So I wish you all great success in your endeavours. I hope the event goes well, and thank you very much to the organisers for asking me to provide the opening remarks today. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard, for those very kind words and by way of an introduction. Before I introduce our speakers, please, I'm sure there will be lots of questions as we go along. Would you put them in the Q&A box, please? And then we will deal with those as best we can after we've heard from all three speakers. Our first speaker today is Dr. Elizabeth Warham. Elizabeth leads the Department for Agricultural's international trade team here in the UK, promoting investment and trade of innovative agricultural businesses, products and services to improve agriculture through the cutting edge of innovation. Her team provide help to institutions, large businesses and SMEs to encourage foreign investment and sales of UK products abroad. She has expertise and experience in plant sciences and technology development more broadly across the agri-food sector. Previously, she supported the government's chief scientists on food, water and environmental issues to ensure that science and engineering in these areas is applied effectively and appropriately within government. In the UK Department for International Development, she has managed research programs to develop appropriate technologies for different agricultural production systems in low and middle income countries. She had worked for 10 years at the International Center for Wheat and Maize Improvement in Mexico in the maize breeding, wheat pathology and seed health programs, and has a wealth of experience. So I'm sure we'll be all very interested to hear Elizabeth's presentation this morning. Thank you, Elizabeth. Over to you.
Well, welcome to the UK Agri-Tech presentation, where we'll give you an overview of UK capability and work within the precision agriculture sector. Back in 2014, the government launched the UK Strategy for Agricultural Technologies. This was a vision to help strengthen the agri-tech sector, with the UK government working with the science base and the food and farming industry, so the UK could maintain its position as a leader in agricultural technology, innovation and sustainability. It was also to help exploit opportunities, not just to develop new technology, but also to help promote existing technologies, products and services to increase productivity, with the goal of contributing to global food security and international development by ensuring safe, healthy, nutritious food is affordable and accessible to all. There are several objectives for the Agri-Tech sector team based in the Department of International Trade. That is 1, encouraging exports, 2, promoting investment, 3 is open existing and new markets by addressing barriers, incentives, and 4 is supporting the Global Britain agenda. There are 3 specific strengths to the UK offer, and these include the world-class science, our progressive food and farming supply chain, and our dynamic business environment. And I'll take each one of these in turn and highlight briefly the offer. In terms of the world-class science, we have 3 of the top 5 global universities, 20% of the workforce in science, and we have over 100 science parks. are well-established R&D sites for multinational companies, including Syngenta, Zoetis and Bayer. We have the oldest continuous field experiment in the world at Rothamsted Research, which has been going for 174 years. We have some of the world's best and most complete data sets relevant to agriculture. We're ranked number 2 in the world for our veterinary science. And recently, in the last 2 or 3 years, we've been learning how to do crop production with hands-free. This is down in Harper Adams, where they planted, tended, and harvested crops of barley and wheat using autonomous vehicles and drones. They're now developing a hands-free farm. We also have dedicated support for R&D, including 4 Agri-Tech centres. In terms of our progressive farming and food supply chain, we have the supply chain demands and draws in new innovation to help farmers increase their productivity and their profit. The agri-food sector contributes 121 billion or 9.4% of the total UK GVA. We employ 4.1 million people in the supply chain, or if you like, that's equivalent to 14% of UK employment. The value of our food, feed and drink exports is 22.5 billion. The value of our imports is 46.8 billion. So we do have a trade gap where we import food and drink. Thirdly is the dynamic business environment. It's easier to do business in the UK than any other major economy in Europe. Also, the UK is expected to be the fastest growing economy, and only major European economy is increasing skilled labour supply in the next 15 years. There's an ecosystem which is very supportive of R&D and innovation. This includes R&D tax credits, a patent box. We also have globally recognised measurement and standard systems to underpin innovation, and we have a robust system of protecting intellectual property. And so what are the drivers for precision agriculture? In the UK, we have an industrial strategy with grand challenges to address using artificial intelligence and data, autonomous vehicles and clean growth. These challenges are all helping to drive the sector towards being net zero carbon agriculture. We have an agriculture bill. This is the landmark legislation in the post-transition period, which will boost productivity and reward environmental improvements in the farming sector for decades to come. We also have a UK aid strategy tackling the global challenges of national interest and how we can support agriculture, which contributes to 8 of the 16 Sustainable Development Goals. The UK is also delivering its international agenda. It has a growing bioeconomy sector, and there's aspirations to increase the contribution to public research and development. We have 4 main subsectors of Agri-Tech. The first one is plant science, and this is a scientific study of plants, including their growth, physiology, reproduction, ecology and pathology, as well as their economic use, fit for purpose and cultivation by humans. This is where we have major investment from a large number of companies, particularly BASF, Bayer, Corteva, Syngenta and Vitacres. We also have a number of innovation areas, and you'll hear more of these from Chris's presentation that follows mine. In terms of precision agriculture, this is the use of technologies to allow farmers and growers to make more informed decisions on crop management, animal husbandry and land management. There are a number of opportunities for precision agriculture, including positioning, remote sensing, automation and machine control, increased accuracy of application, data handling and transfer. There's the wireless technology and decision support systems. And there's also the effective application, which enables less inputs, whether that's water, fertilizer or energy, to give higher yields with less impact on the environment. And this is providing many business opportunities for other sectors to engage with the agriculture sector, whether that's from space, telecoms, ICT, big data, chemicals, or engineering. And Tony will provide you with an overview of these in more detail in his presentation. In terms of technologies, I've just highlighted how precision agriculture can be the interface of different technologies. In the UK, we have highlighted 8 great technologies, from space, synthetic biology, to advanced materials, energy, and these all including Agri-Tech. And then these provide opportunities to support both plant science and precision agriculture. And I'm just going to highlight now 3 technologies which are driving change within the Agri-Tech sector. One is digital. The UK technology is present in 95% of the world's mobile phones. Europe has the largest e-commerce market, and 28 billion has been invested in UK tech over the past 5 years. 18 of the 47 European unicorns are in the UK, and we have the largest digital tech sector in the world after Silicon Valley and New York. And here you can see how some of the satellite information is being used to monitor and track land areas. We've also got digital being used in controlled environment agriculture in terms of greenhouses. The second driver is robotics, and this is where there are opportunities to collect data and manage more effectively agricultural operations, whether that's soil and crop scouting, robot tractors, whether it's harvesters to replace human pickers, whether it's smart cultivators, or whether we can be more selective and precise in how we target our pest and disease treatment. And increasingly, it's also being used for logistics and materials management. Thirdly, is sort of the diagnostics detection driver. And here are some examples of some of the technologies that are being developed to help farmers in that area, whether it's monitoring disease in the field, whether that's on the plants, or whether it's detecting spores of pathogen in soil and water before they infect plants. We've also now got digital microscopes that can be used out in the field and help in diagnosis of the diseases. There's now an impact track, a shock and temperature monitor to help reduce damage to fresh produce as it travels from the farm to the retailer. And those trackers can be put in shells which actually match the dimensions, weight and density of fresh produce. So the tracker has feels the same impact as the actual produce on its journey. I'm just going to give one case study which shows how innovation in the strawberry supply chain has made a huge impact to that supply chain. Whether it's from genetics, we have developed a large number of different varieties of strawberries in the UK so that they bear fruit for longer periods of time. And since 1988, East Malling in particular has developed 39 varieties. Most of them are sold in the UK, but also in Northern Europe and across in South Korea. We've developed multi-span polytunnels with the engineering of structures, plastics and diffusing additives and thermal capability. We're developing new growing systems, whether they're soilless, whether they're on a tabletop, looking also at how to develop nutrition more effectively. And then there's the production and scheduling and how the strawberries are picked, chilled, stored to extend the production season. Again, there's more research on crop protection, the new pests and diseases that occur under polytunnels, how to develop more biological control mechanisms by understanding the biology of the target pests, and looking at other alternatives to biofumigants. And then more recently, we've seen a lot of development in robotic systems for harvesting, including auto pick. So in summary, the government has a very clear vision and commitment for the sector. We have great science, innovation and talent, and we have end users thirsty for new technology and products to improve productivity and competitiveness. We have a dynamic business environment that supports company growth and success, and we have a strong startup culture and supporting infrastructure to take business to the next level. And you'll hear more about these opportunities within the next presentations. Thank you for listening, and I can be contacted for any further information. Thanks.
Elizabeth, thank you very much for that wonderful introduction to the technologies that the United Kingdom has been developing over many years and promoting around the world. Our second speaker today will carry on with the theme, Mr. Christopher Horne, who is a plant scientist specialist for the Department of International Trade, who concentrates on developing foreign direct investment and trade around indoor farming and digital agricultural related to crops. Chris studied agricultural botany at Reading University and then spent 22 years in a range of market and product development roles in the crop protection industry, including the UK, Europe, Asia Pacific, and other global roles. More latterly, Chris has spent 15 years as a director in marketing research and consultancy firms, focusing on various agricultural sectors. So we now look forward to your presentation, Chris.
So thank you, Chris. So I'm going to introduce the UK plant science investment and trade opportunities to you. And I thought I would begin by just talking briefly about how plant science is used by farmers as a crucial part of their crop production today. And I've summarized that on this slide. So if we imagine that we are a farmer growing, for example, wheat or any other crop, we will first choose a variety from a seed company, and this provides the genetic platform for our crop production. Quite often, we will coat that seed with a seed treatment to prevent pest and disease attacks on the crop as it germinates and becomes established. During the growing season, we will then usually use crop protection products to fight against weeds, pests and diseases. And at sowing and at other times during the crop, we may use fertilizers to deliver the macro and the micronutrients that the plants need for optimum yield and quality. And all of these inputs will be supported typically by an agronomist or an agronomy expert, maybe using software packages and decision tools as well. And this is how we use plant science in crop production today, and we still will in the future. All of these inputs like the variety, the seed treatments, the crop protection and the fertilizers and the agronomy packages will still be very important in future. But what I wanted to stress today is that we are living through a time of tremendous advances in plant science, which will, and in some cases already are, bringing new benefits to farmers. So at the top left of my slide there, I've mentioned gene sequencing and gene editing. So scientists are now species by species mapping the DNA of our crop plants. The first of these to be announced was the DNA sequence of wheat, announced only about 3 years ago. And so understanding the basic DNA of the crop species allows breeders to understand what drives the plants and which genes they can improve in their breeding programs to get better varieties for the farmer. For example, varieties that give more yield or better quality, or for example, varieties which are more tolerant to drought or more tolerant to pests and diseases, or can survive in more saline conditions. And then next to that, I've shown gene editing, which is one of the tools that breeders can use to speed up and make much more accurate their breeding process and bring forward these new varieties more quickly. On the right there, I'm talking about nutrition. So we are seeing a new wave of biostimulant products to work alongside the fertilizers to help us produce more robust plants, which can be higher yielding and again, more tolerant of problems in their environment. Linked to that, we are seeing great advances in the understanding of the microbiome of the soil and how better soil health can be achieved. And this is leading to new products farmers can use to improve the quality of their soils and improve the ability of plants to make use of nutrients in the soil. We are also seeing novel disease, weed and pest management products coming through based on, again, plant science research, giving us very sustainable and effective crop protection alternatives to the traditional crop protection products. And we're also seeing more and more biopesticide products. And these are, if you like, quite natural solutions to help our crops resist, for example, pest attacks. And at the bottom of my slide there, I've shown 3 examples of what are really 3 completely new industries coming out of plant science research. The first there, using plant proteins to produce alternative meat substitutes. In the center, novel indoor farming systems, for example, vertical farming. And on the right, the ability to use crops as, if you like, factories to produce ingredients for pharmaceuticals. So 3 completely new industries. So a lot of developments there. I could give a seminar on each one of these and go into detail. I just wanted to mention controlled environment agriculture very briefly, because this is an area which is expanding very rapidly around the globe. And this is a novel growing system where crops are grown indoors with every aspect of the production under the control of the grower. For example, the atmosphere the plants live in, the light that they receive, and the water and the nutrients that they receive. And these farming systems, as well as producing fantastic quality crops 365 days of the year, are also stimulating further advances in basic plant science. For example, scientists are now learning which plant parts and even cells within those parts of the plant are affected by different intensities, wavelengths, and periods of light, and how that can vary, for example, across the growth cycle of the crop, and how that interacts with all the other aspects of the environment. And all these things together are, if you like, the recipe that the grower has to produce the best crops. Machine learning is also enabling very rapid improvements in these crop growing recipes, and vertical farmers are achieving very rapid improvements in yield of their crops. So plant science has led to a new type of farming, a new farming system, and the system itself is stimulating even further advances in the basic science. In the UK, we are very successful at producing crops. For example, we have the highest wheat yields in the world. But like farmers in various crops throughout the world, we do have a number of problems or gaps that our farmers like to see fixed. So, for example, our crop yields are plateauing. They're no longer increasing as they were in recent decades. Farmers would love to see more alternative crops to give them new options, new ways to meet the end market needs. They're running into problems due to the loss of crop protection chemistry or restrictions on how they can use those products, and a growing number of weeds, pests and diseases resistant to some of those products as well. Water becomes an ever bigger issue, and smarter irrigation is necessary to help growers optimize water usage. Also, farmers are seeking to be more and more sustainable. This means things like optimizing the soil health, protecting the air and the water from pollution from farming practices, and also how to reduce CO2 emissions towards the target of net zero. And our farmers have all these and other problems to solve. So what this means is that there are many opportunities for investors in plant science and for new plant science companies working in some of those areas that I've illustrated to come and help us solve some of these problems. And if you're a company listening to this working to solve some of these problems, then you'd be very welcome in the UK. And for any companies setting up in business in the UK, in plant science to help on crop production, you'd be joining a really strong ecosystem because the UK really is one of the world leaders in plant science. We have around 15 universities with plant science or crop science departments also conducting research. We have 8 or more independent institutes, including world-renowned centres like Rothamsted Research, all working on plant science. And we have 4 government agri-tech innovation centres, as Elizabeth has mentioned, and the one working in the crop production field is called CHAP, Crop Health and Protection, and they are superb partners for any company wishing to come to the UK and find R&D collaborations and work together in projects with our plant scientists. And through CHAP, you can get access to a marvelous range of assets, some of which I've shown on this slide. They're the sort of assets that, as a, let's say, a small growing agri-tech company, you wouldn't normally be able to afford yourselves. But working with such assets at these centres through CHAP will give you access to those. As well as being leaders in plant science, we have many fantastic companies working in this field and already exporting their products around the world. I've shown just a few examples of them here from areas like biological control, biostimulants, vertical farming, crop protection, and also genetics, horticulture, pollination control, and smart irrigation. So we have some great companies who can also come and contribute to agriculture in your country. So in summarise, to finish my talk, we've already heard from Elizabeth that the UK is a great place for agri-tech, thanks to our world-class science, our progressive agri-food industry, and the UK's dynamic business environment. But within that, there are many great opportunities for plant science companies and anybody working in crop production. And I've listed some of the areas that offer opportunities in my talk. So we have a very strong plant science ecosystem, and this gives great opportunities for those working in plant science and crop production to come and invest in the UK or to work with our own UK companies in their own country. And of course, in DIT, we will give those companies tremendous support. So that's the end of my talk. Thank you for listening to me. And if you want to contact me to start a conversation or for further information at any time, please contact me via the details you see on the screen here. Thank you very much.
Chris, thank you very much for that very interesting presentation. I'm sure we will be faced with lots of questions coming up. Our final speaker today is Dr. Anthony John, who is a precision agricultural specialist for the Department of International Trade here in the UK, who concentrates on developing foreign direct investment.
Majority of our land towards the west of the country and to the north is hill sheep. So we have a blend as we move from east to west, moving from arable crops through mixed farming through to livestock farming. And as you heard from Chris, the UK growers currently have amongst the highest yields of winter wheat, with an average of greater than 8 tonnes per hectare. But, and this is a big but, over the last 5 or 10 years, our yields coming out of the winter wheat and winter barley have plateaued. And what we see is that the average yield hides a massive variation within each individual fields, and over time, as economies of scales have grown, fields have got larger. So this variability within field is much higher now than perhaps it was apparent when fields were smaller maybe 50 years ago. And what we can see from this yield map on the right-hand side of the screen is that yields within that field, be it compaction or soil or nutrition areas, yields can actually vary between 2 and 15 tons per hectare. So this gives us a challenge as to why we need precision agriculture. And an analysis carried out by FERA, one of the government organizations many years ago, shows us that actually the gaps between, the hypothetical gaps between actual farm yields, which is say is about 8 tons per hectare, the potential farm yield for each farm, which of course varies, but can be up to 15 tons per hectare. The experimental station yields, which are always yields carried out on the best piece of soil and the best conditions with the best inputs, and a theoretical maximum of wheat, of yield that is potential from the genetics. What we see is actually that gap 2, the movement from actual farm yields to potential farm yields, that's listed on this chart as gap 2, and that is primarily solvable with knowledge transfer and existing technologies, but that requires lots of data to be pulled together, understanding of the biological constraints with regard to variety, breed, the pests and diseases and their resistance status, the soil and land management, water, as you heard from Chris, and our nutrition inputs, but also a number of socioeconomic constraints, which is primarily tradition, attitudes, and knowledge. Gap 1, which is the movement from potential farm yield through to experimental station yield, will build in through new seed-based technologies from our plant scientists that are going on in the UK, changes and improvements in crop protection, and of course further improved by precision agriculture. As we move further up and exploiting the genetic potential of the crops, that is actually solely in the hands of our plant scientists, and how we then use that information and the varieties that the plant scientists create in order to transform that and transfer it to farm. So the objective of precision agriculture, certainly within the UK, and I'm sure in your countries as well, is to treat smaller and smaller areas of the field more specifically at every stage of that crop growth, and to maximize the output by measuring parameters that can affect yields. And actually what we begin to see is conventional farming, where you treat a field as a unit, bringing it down. We actually now have the capability of coming down to leaf scale management, which may or may not be appropriate in large scale areas. But key of this is collection and transformation of data. Those of you working in precision agriculture will know that data is key, and pulling in multiple sources of data from variable sensors and activities within the farm, pulling it all together and collating it to create a single actionable outcome is absolutely key. And this chart is just a schematic to show that actually smart sensors, smart mapping, smart equipment monitoring, measuring the crop input, and moving into livestock, how that works, all coming together to create a smart farming portal. And this is actually quite important. In the UK, we identified this a couple of years ago, where you've already heard about the fact that in 2013, the UK government set up four centres of agri-tech innovation. They were established with £90 million of public funds to support infrastructure and inventory and ability. And the four centres, as you know, as you've heard, are now based around data through agrimetrics, CL for livestock, Agri-Epi, which is precision agriculture and engineering, and you hear from Chris Horne on CHEP, the crop health and protection. The role of these businesses is not only just to help business develop, adopt and exploit new agricultural technologies, but also to promote their practical and commercial implementation. And one of the key strengths of this area is actually to collaborate with industry, include laboratories, farms, small business enterprises coming into the UK. But one of the key things that these are working on, so certainly with regards to precision agriculture, it's not just the development of the technology, it's how we translate that. We saw in the earlier chart that actually translational research is the key to implementation of technology on farm. And one of the key skills is to convert the research to a semi-field scale environment. And this schematic is just one representative university of the Agri-Tech Centre, which is Cranfield University. And Cranfield have a soil hall, which allows the companies or the farmers and the researchers to create any combination of soil type that exists in the world through blending in large-scale pots. They're actually then able to use commercial farm machinery to till, cultivate, and drill. And then what is key is actually they are able to grow and monitor every parameter. And over on the right-hand side, maybe at 3 o'clock on this screen, we actually see a picture of the greenhouse bathed in pink light. And in there, we actually have a very large hyperspectral and visual RGB camera that actually is able to digitize the signals coming from plants as they go through any degree of stress, that is actually being able to take that research, move it to a semi-field scale before transferring out into the field. And this is actually very important to test the technologies, because so many technologies, whilst they work very, very well in lab and in principle, actually when they get out into large scale, this is one of the key learning points in order to adopt technology. So coming back to what is already happening on UK farms with regard to precision agriculture, we already are using satellite or tractor-mounted sensing for fertilizer and growth. These data are coming in, they're transformed, and most farmers will be understanding where the fertilization and growth parameters of their wheat fields are. We already have access to soil maps and yield data for variable seed rate drilling, and again, this is one of the key areas where we're actually now beginning to use variable seed rates to combine with weed burdens in order that during the autumn and establishment period, crops can outcompete the weeds in order to give maximum yield potential for that particular area. We're already using, as many countries are, precision steering tractors for drilling. We have a collection of disease sensors, disease modeling, weather data, and crop growth stage prediction. We're using satellites and tractor UAV detections of diseases in season, and the common diseases in the UK wheat field would be yellow rust or mildew. And we already have the ability to collect a digital signal and to identify subclinical diseases within the crop and within patches. We are already very keenly using non-chemical control and biostimulants in addition to classical chemistry. And we are also, as the crop progresses later through the growth season, we're weed mapping, we're yield predicting, so farmers can begin to understand where their yield is going to be, and they can maximize the price for with regard to commercialization. And of course, we're also using automated harvest and post-harvest monitoring. All of those parameters, all those hexagons require data. Those data are being pulled together and collaborated. But we're not stopping there, and actually many farmers now are moving forward, and we're actually increasing the resolution of our sensors. We're adding in and looking for and acquiring additional algorithms. We're looking to miniaturize machinery, and we're looking to get ways of improving our data stacking and interpreting the outputs. We're now beginning to get to the stage where we're using artificial intelligence to detect weeds and diseases. Those are linked to new algorithms which are creating a plant health digital signature. We're now using, through companies like Small Robot Company and others within the UK, using autonomous vehicles to collect those data. We're now getting to the stage through Harper Adams and through some other companies which are using electricity as a non-chemical weed control method. So we're using artificial intelligence to detect the weed, then using electric or laser weed control. Artificial intelligence is detecting these weeds in crop, and we're also looking to explore precision application and autonomous sprayers. And also finally, as we move around, we're looking and incorporating blockchain for carbon tracing, carbon trading parameters, traceability, and quality traits. So what we are looking to do over the next couple of years is actually increase the iterative process. As we get more and more technology, we look to improve technology. We look to use the commercial sensors, the commercial technologies to translate them onto farm. So what I'd like to summarize by saying actually that integrated farming is a key skill in the UK. We realized a number of years ago we needed it. We have put in place many elements to allow us to incorporate that, and our farmers want it. Our science can assist it, and doing business is relatively easy in the UK. And just to summarize, for you as listeners to this presentation, the UK is one of Europe's biggest markets. We have very sophisticated growers. We may not have a large number of them, but the ones we do have are looking to acquire through a large enterprise size. They're hungry for improvements and they're ready to adopt your technology. We have a very efficient distribution system. Because it's quite a mature market, 99% of our farmers will take advice from an advisor. That provides advice onto farm through professional agronomy. We have an easy geography. We're a small country, and we have an excellent infrastructure to move around. So if you are a company looking to create an investment opportunity, we are looking to incorporate and to exploit and to validate sensors, seed varieties, crop protection applications, environmental technologies, IT platforms, blockchain technologies, and also to provide an access to the easy testing grounds and easy access to partners. And of course, if you are a country that is looking some way down precision agriculture, we have tried many technologies. We've been working in this area for a number of years. So we've actually completed and validated many of the agronomic solutions. So if you're looking to acquire knowledge and not to make the same mistakes as other people have, actually reach out to us. We have experience in data manipulation and integrating technologies together. We have individual companies that have a massive amount of control and technology and expertise in this area, and actually would consider us a perfect partner country to add value to your trade. So I will end there and I'll thank you. But if you do have any questions, we'll be available later to answer them. But also please do reach out on either by email, telephone, or through LinkedIn. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Tony, for that very interesting and thought-provoking presentation. I would now like to invite our three panelists to join us on the video link to take questions and answers. So we have several questions here already. The first question that I'll put to our panelists, one of our attendees is interested in precision laser controlled field leveling in the UK. Of course, we use that all the time on our rice fields on our Australian farms. But what experience do we have in our universities and research establishments here regarding the laser leveling of fields?
Well, perhaps I can start, Chris, by I saw the question come in, and my only experience of laser leveling has been in the US in field-grown fruit and veg. Certainly, some of that, I know Cranfield University have some experience in this. They do a lot of work overseas, and also we have a lot of companies that work on LiDAR sensors, and we are using that to measure the topography. Now, whether that is appropriate for level of accuracy required for laser field leveling, I'm not 100% sure of, but certainly the technology does exist and there's expertise within certainly some of them. Maybe Elizabeth has some more knowledge, or Chris has some more knowledge as to which universities can do have this technique. But we certainly don't use it commercially in the UK.
Yeah, if I can come in, Chris, I believe this technology is used in the UK in specifically turf production rather than agriculture. So I know there's a bit of commercial usage of it in turf, but I haven't heard of it being used in commercial agriculture just yet. So I think that's all I can add really to that question.
I'm sure our colleagues in Australia obviously have vast experience of laser leveling their paddy fields. Moving on, a question here about precision farming and can we help to develop digital farming systems? I think that one probably directed best to Elizabeth first off.
Thank you for that, Chris. Yeah, we are able to help with digital farming systems. We've obviously got the first hands-free farm in the world at Harper Adams University, where they've been using a lot of digital and automotive systems. So we're able to help in that context. We are starting to build a network of smart farms overseas where we can pilot some of the UK technology on farm in situ. We have a farm in Paraguay. We're looking at a farm in Ukraine at the moment, and hopefully there'll be one in Southeast Asia in the not too distant future. That's a way of helping to showcase the technology and integrate the different solutions. So happy to follow up on that.
Thanks, Elizabeth, for that. And I do happen to know that we have one company here that can help on the drip irrigation, but drip irrigated rice production in the UK, obviously we don't produce rice commercially here, but around the world, our companies are involved. Who would like to take that one up?
Yeah, perhaps I'll comment, Chris. Oh, sorry, Elizabeth, you go ahead.
I was just going to say that in terms of drip irrigation, we have some innovative technology, which is actually monitoring the humidity of the soil and therefore only irrigating when the soil needs it. But I'll let Chris explain in more detail.
Well, I was going to say much the same. We've got one or two companies working in this area, Chris, providing the, let's say, the smart bits of the technology you need to control and deliver very precise drip irrigation to crops. Obviously, as you said, we don't grow rice in the UK, but we do have a good experience of drip irrigation for other crops, both indoors in glass houses and polytunnels, but also in outdoor crops, even like potatoes, for example, where it's now being used. So yeah, we certainly have some good opportunities there, which if the person who asked the question wants to follow up with me, we can maybe join you up with those companies.
Thanks, that will be a very, very good way forward, I think, trying to put people together. A question here directed to Elizabeth. How do you integrate the precision farming solutions to improve crop pest and disease management in maize plantations?
Thank you for that, Chris. We do, as other speakers mentioned, we do have the Crop Health and Protection Agri-Tech Innovation Centre, and they've been developing a system called Crop Monitor, which does monitor pests and diseases in different crops. Obviously in the UK, we have maize for fodder for livestock, so there's some experience in that area of growth. And we also have collaboration with the International Centre of Wheat and Maize on some of the technologies. But yeah, we're developing systems in the UK to help better monitor the pests and diseases across the whole country. And happy to follow up and share with you examples from the Crop Monitor initiative.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Following on from that question, I'm going to sort of put a few questions together here, really. One attendee is asking about our experience in sugarcane farming, in precision farming, and how we can implement the technology. Going on from that, I would add to that, could you give us a bit of an idea, because we are based over here in a very temperate climate, what gives the UK strength in precision agriculture, especially in countries in the tropics and subtropics, and even the arid countries of the world? Can you give our attendees some idea of why we are our technology is being taken up by so many of these countries so successfully?
Yeah, I can answer that one, Chris. I mean, the UK has a lot of strengths both in plant and animal science, and as a consequence of that, through our development programs, we have spent years helping to fund collaborative research with the UK institutes and the national agricultural research systems in a wide range of countries overseas, looking at different types of crops and how to improve both production and storage of those crops. In fact, the Department for International Development had committed over 20 million a year to supporting overseas agricultural research, and there's a number of institutes within the UK that have taken part in that over many years, including University of Southampton, the University of Nottingham. We also have the Natural Resources Institute at the University of Greenwich, which provides very applied research and support to overseas countries in institutes looking at specific problems for their agriculture. So there's a wealth of experience to draw in. If there's a particular area of interest, then get in touch and we can try and connect you with the right expert within the UK to help, or the right company.
That's very useful information. Thanks a lot for that, Elizabeth. Tony, Chris, do you want to add anything more to Elizabeth's words there?
Yeah, the only thing I was going to add really, or try to reinforce, I think in her introductory presentation, Elizabeth talked about the science base of the UK, and I feel this is really important. So we have such a strong fundamental science base in the UK that we're developing both the science and technologies based on that can help across a really wide range of crops around the world. And for example, we were talking earlier about digital agriculture in crops like maize or rice. And so, for example, in these crops, you know, we need to use imaging to see what's going on in those crops. We can have sensors to be monitoring pests and diseases, and we can have algorithms in the background linking that information with weather data to provide risk assessments of the crop to help the agronomist and the farmer, for example. All of these sort of technologies are quite common across crops. So whether it's wheat that we grow in the UK or rice that you grow in Thailand, the fundamental issues and the science and technology that we need to help are very transferable. So I think even if you're a rice grower in Thailand, for example, you can absolutely be making use of science and technology that has come out of the UK.
I think I would also add, Chris, is specifically with regard to sugarcane. Of course, we don't grow sugarcane in the UK, but there are a large number of UK-based companies that are either based in satellite technology or sensor technology, looking to get into agriculture. I know of at least one international company that's combining sugar sensors in plantations with LiDAR and flame detection activities to actually improve sugarcane agronomy. So if the questioner if the person who posed that question wants to reach out, we can put in touch with regards to trade opportunities or contacts within the industry.
That's great. And I'm sure our companies will be anxious to come and talk to all you guys and how to take these technologies forward. And I think I'll just put this last question, which really comes to Elizabeth, because Elizabeth heads up our Agri-Tech team here, and it's an ongoing discussion for the UK. Do we have any research farms in the Philippines for our reference? Well, I know the answer to that is we don't. But Elizabeth, would you like to comment, please, about how developing smart farms around the world is actually helping get all this technology into the hands of especially the smaller farmers that would benefit greatly from all this developments that we have?
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Obviously, the purpose of a smart research farm, if you like, overseas is to help integrate the different technologies that are available, whether that's from the UK or local, to help improve the farming systems. And we develop these bilaterally with the national government or with a key organisation. But at the moment, no, we don't have one in the Philippines, but obviously, if there's an opportunity, that's something that we would be looking into as we develop the network.
Thanks, Elizabeth, for that. I'm conscious of time, and we have had some very, very thought-provoking presentations this morning, and some good questions and answers from our team. So I guess now it remains for me to wind up our seminar today and thank everybody for attending and listening. Our speakers have all given you their contact details, so please do get in touch with them, or you can get in touch with me if you want to, that's fine, not a problem there. But I want to particularly thank the organisers for giving us the opportunity today to make this presentation to you on the UK's capabilities. I think one of the things that is perhaps not appreciated around the world, we do have some of the best research in the world, and that's it is driven by our farmers, who have over a long while been very, very keen on uptaking any new technologies that are available. So we may be only a small island, but we certainly have great innovation and research. So we're always happy to share that with any of you guys. So the challenges are there, and we hope that we can meet them or help you guys meet them. So a big thank you to the organisers for allowing us to, or providing us the opportunity to speak today. I will say that it's obviously very disappointing that everything currently has to be done via webinar. However, we are very much looking forward to being able to attend the physical event when it takes place in May. And certainly I will be leading a small team of UK people to that event. And I hope that we can actually meet you guys in person at that event. Hopefully by May, some normality will be back. It's looking very positive that we will be vaccinated, and lots of other people in the world will. So maybe this dreadful disease that's kept us all at home and away from visiting your wonderful countries is brought to a halt, and some normality can resume. AGRITECHNICA Asia Digital carries on, and on your screen there you will see that there are 3 more productions coming up in January. Rice production for Thailand and Myanmar, sugarcane, again Thailand and Indonesia, and then a preview of the Asia Pacific Trading Summit. We are very much looking forward to visiting your countries at the various exhibitions, and certainly with a fair wind and good luck, we will be able to visit Thailand in May, and we're very much looking forward to that. In the meantime, it remains only for me once again to thank our speakers and to thank you, the audience, for listening in, and we look forward to staying in touch with you and meeting you later in 2021. And as there are only 2 weeks left until we reach 2021, may I take this opportunity to wish you all a very happy and prosperous new year, and good luck and good fortune in 2021. Thank you very much.